Good evening, all. Thank you very much for joining me. As promised, I'm just going to show you how to make a very simple box for our beautiful card kit, which is winging its way onto most people. The pre-orders are due to be going out later on this week as well, so it won't take very long at all for them to be popping inside your box, your post box, hopefully. I'm going to be using the die again for the card, from the card kit rather, for the box. So I'm going to be using that, and also going to be using the Merry Christmas banner. And whilst I'm at it, I just wanted to say about the light strings. So when I'm talking about light strings, I'm talking about this little article here, which is to set, oh, you can see the flashing ones, and then they stay on. You can just about see it in that corner, but it is all over. And they are due in to me on Friday, and so we'll be going onto the website on Friday morning. Now, if you're a member of the Facebook group, I did put some information up about that yesterday, and just to see how many people might quite like to have something like that, and there was a lot of people that did. But you'll be pleased to hear I've got loads coming, so I will be having plenty there. So if you look out for that, there's 10 in a box, 10 of the little light things. I did have one there to show you, but put it in a safe place. And they are £10 for the 10 in a box. Okay, so that is on Friday though. And just a quick reminder that on Sunday, down here, on Sunday, we'll be back at 6 o'clock for our next YouTube live. So let us show you the really easy way to make these lovely boxes. So we are making a box because clearly from the lights at the back, it's too thick to go into an envelope. You could just about at a push, but when you've done such a lovely card, it's really nice to make a little bit more of an effort, because it could be doing something like this in this day and age. We seem to send a lot of money or Amazon vouchers or something like that, and maybe we would just like to have a really fancy card rather than wrapping up just a little something of nothing, if you see what I mean. And so this might be the ideal thing, but it would be lovely if it came in a lovely box as well. So anyway, but obviously you do need to measure your card. So I'm going to measure. Now remember, this is classed as a 7-inch card, and I'm going to measure this, and it comes out at 6 3/4. So not 7-inch. And if you are aware, you probably are, so I apologize if you do already realize, but it's when it refers to 7 inches, it's referring to the actual size of the envelope. Don't ask why. I've no idea. Doesn't make any sense to me. However, that means that this card is actually 6 3/4, not 7 inches. And the same would be apparent for most of your average size cards, your square cards. So if your card was a 6-inch, the chances are it's actually a 5 3/4. And if it's a an 8-inch card, it's actually 7 3/4. But that's quite handy in this actual case, because what I want to do is actually work this out in inches for you, because I think it might be slightly easier. Very rare for me to do such a thing, but I think you'll find it's probably the easier way to do it. So we need to measure our card. And as I said, this one's 6 3/4. And we need to give it a little bit of an extra room, because we need to be able to put our fingers in order to get the card. So if we say that our card measures 7 inches, we need for the base of our card, our box rather, 7 inches. Perfect. We're going to need about an inch depth all the way round, and we have got 4 sides. Okay, so in order to make sure that we are folding it up 1 inch this side and 1 inch that side, we need to add 2 inches to our measurements. So 7 inches to start off with, that's okay, and then 1 inch for one side and 1 inch for another. Therefore we need a piece of card which is 9 inches by 9 inches. Okay, so let's do that first. And clearly you're not going to get that measurement from an A4 piece of card. This is an A3 piece of card, or you could use a 12 by 12. Oops. Oh, sorry. So going to take it down there, if you can just about see. So we've got all the measurements here. We have got centimetres as well, but I am for a change going to go by the inches, and here is 9 inches. So I'm going to put my card in and I'm going to cut that to 9 inches by 9 inches. So this is going to be the bottom of our box. Now we need a top as well, and in order to get the top we need to add about 1/8 of an inch, a very, very small amount, to our measurements. So if you recall, just get this glue out of the way here, as I'm going to knock that on the floor. We had 9, so I'm going to take it to just 9 1/8 for my top of my cards there. So just giving it a little extra. Now, if you happen to have an adorable scoreable scoring platform, you will actually have different measurements because they have got the box template in with it. But this is for your average, what everyone is likely to have. This is a hunky-dory paper trimmer, not an adorable scoreable platform. So we've got that one. That's the top. So this one, come back to the bottom, and I have put in my paper trimmer a scoring piece. Now, if you were to have the hunky-dory one, it does not come with a scoring piece. I took that initially from an old one that I had, from an old Vason paper trimmer, but you can buy them anyway. Most of them are compatible with it now, but it's just the same as my cutter, but it's just a scorer. And I just find having them all, I don't need 2 trimmers. I just need 1 trimmer and then the scorer as well. So I'm going to score this at 1 centimetre on all 4 sides. Sorry, 1 inch on all 4 sides. And I'm going to use, the lights are shining on here, sorry. Let's bring this over a little bit. You might be able to see it a bit better. I've got my cutting line here, but I've got a 1 inch mark on the right of my cutting line as well. And that just makes life a bit easier for me to use. So instead of holding it precariously maybe at that angle, I've got much more support from a piece of card, and so I do it over here. So making sure that it's the scorer that I'm using and not the cutter. You could take the cutter off completely if you're tempted. And I'm just going to score all 4 sides at 1 inch. So that's all 4 sides. Pop that to one side, and then I'm going to do exactly the same with this piece. So again, all 4 sides at scoring at 1 inch. You could obviously put this onto a scoreboard, but because I've got the trimmer there and everything, it seems like a good plan. So this was the top one. And just so I can differentiate, because if you recall, there's only a very, very small amount between the two, I'm just going to use, it happens to be a Stampin' Up one, but it's a 1 inch circle punch, which I'm going to turn upside down and insert into one side of my one edge of my top of my box, but only halfway in. So it's like a semicircle. Just eyeballing it up so that it is roughly in the middle, and then just trimming that. Then I'm going to turn it over and do exactly the same on the opposite side, hoping that it's roughly the same. And that will help me to differentiate between the fact that this one is the actual top, but also it's handy, so you've got something to hold on to. So then I'm going to get my scoring tool, and we need to burnish those corners within 1 inch of their lives. I think we'll cut first. Hold on. So I'm then going to grab a pair of scissors, and I'm going to cut up on these corners. Let's see if you can see that. Can you see? Oh, goodness me. Can you see that mark? Just about. There's a mark there. I'm going to cut up to that first score line like that. I'm then going to take a very slight slither off so that that will give like a little chamfered edge. And I'm going to do on that side again so that you've got that little bit there. Then I'm going to do exactly the same over this side. So along that score line, and then a little bit, and then the same on to the side. And then I'm going to turn it completely around. So these bits are now at the top, and I'm going to do exactly the same down the bottom here. So up to the score line and a little slither, and then on the other side, up to the score line and the same like that. So that piece is now done on all four corners with your, it doesn't really matter where those are, by the way, they could be the other way around, whichever you like. And I'm going to do exactly the same on this one. So this is the bottom. So I'm just going to do exactly the same, cutting each of the corners along the score line and then up to the first score line, and then just take a little angle and then turn that round. And do that. Now, when it comes to sticking your card together, you can use double-sided tape, the extra strong one, the red one, something like that. Or, of course, as I'm going to do, some quick grabbing glue, because that's going to be my preference, but you can choose to do whichever you prefer. So I'm now going to go along all of these edges and really burnish this to a very tight point here. And I think that's one of the crucial things. If you did it with your fingers, you get a fold, but you wouldn't get that really crisp line, and that's really quite important. So burnishing all these lines. I've tried to put the camera closer to you today, or closer for you, I should say, so that you can see what's going on. So I'll do the other one in a minute, but hopefully it's almost there. You can see it's almost coming together. So down the bottom, I've got my two little tabs, and I'm going to pop a little bit of glue onto each of those. Oh, and I've got the glue stuck. Oh, I had trouble with this, that I didn't put it back in properly. That is quite crucial to do, is it not? My non-sticking glue is sticking. Not good enough, is it? Let me just encourage it somewhat. Well done. Otherwise we will revert to oh, now it goes everywhere. So a little bit of glue down there, try and get it to the edges almost. And I'm going to do both at the same time, and I'm just going to simply make sure that these corners are at right angles there. Sorry, you've got my hand and everything, and probably not in focus. But so that corner, this bend, is flush with the other one, and the same on the other side. Now, as I said, I've got quick grabbing glue, so I'm okay with that, but you do need to just make sure that those edges are attached before you go any further. And then we're going to do exactly the same on the other corners. So some glue onto the tabs. And then onto that one as well, again making sure those corners are at right angles. I'm going to leave that to one side, and then I'm just going to bring in the top of the box. We know that that is the top because we've got the little notch taken out. I suppose any small punch. The punch is easier to work with. You could use a die, but a punch is much easier to work with. And also you'd need a very big, come to think of it, you'd need a very big die cutting machine in order to take the width, wouldn't you, if you were doing it like that? So I would not do it with a die. But I know punches, gosh, do you remember? Used to go to craft fairs, and I'm talking about probably 8 years ago, and everywhere you went there were Martha Stewart punches, really beautiful punches. And then they came out with like an edge, and then you had two corners that you could marry up. Very clever design, expensive, but they were really beautiful. And I can remember that year, every craft show that I went to, that's what they were selling. Every stall had Martha Stewart punches on, and I probably bought one at every single stall. And unfortunately, I have to say, although that was about 8 years ago, despite all the usual things for sharpening and all that, they don't tend to punch very well anymore. I do have some punches like these. These are the Stampin' Up ones. They punch, like a dream, and they are like 15, 16 years old. So yeah, but they're handy for something like this. So there's the bottom of our box, which we grab our card again, is going to fit in there. So as you can see, I made it so that it was 7 inches wide, so that we've got that little bit of a wiggle room in there. You could also, of course, wrap it into some tissue paper type of thing, so you've got that room to do that. Then this is the lid, and then that goes on the top perfectly like that. So when we did our measurements, and we did 9 inches by 9 inches, and then we did 9 1/8 by 9 1/8, that eighth was literally all that we wanted, because when I turn this over, you'll then see that it is fairly tight to the box. So this is the top now, this is the lid, and this is the box. If you had that 9 1/4 by 9 1/4, it would actually be flopping about, and to my mind it needs to be quite nice and tight like that. So, but I want to decorate this bit here, so what I'm going to do is just some very simple die cutting. Okay, so I shall pop that to one side for the minute. Now, first of all, I'm going to take my dancing snowflake die. This is the die that comes in the October card kit, exclusive to the card kit. And although I understood that the card kit, the extras, were going to be coming on the 23rd, fingers crossed that they're going to be here this week instead. So a few days earlier than we had anticipated. This is ultra glitter, ultra low shed glitter in silver. It's coated card, so, and it's a very detailed die. So I'm going to put into my sandwich of cutting a metal shim. So I'm going to put, first of all, my card. So I've taped it down. Oh, I forgot to say, the piece of card, the ultra blue blah blah silver, is 14 centimeters, gone back to centimeters again, 14 centimeters by 14 centimeters. I'm going to put it that way down, and then I'm going to take my piece of metal shim. Don't use it very often, and as you can see, I'm actually cutting into that. So I'm not putting it on as a shim as such. I'm using that to actually cut in, supposedly, although it won't, of course, cut into the metal. So I'm just going to run that through the machine. And then I've got myself the banners. So, hold on. I'm going to cut out. So this is the Merry Christmas banner. And I'm going to pop a bit of tape onto there to cut that one out of white. So that's the actual wording. And then this is the background. Let's trim a bit off. We don't need as much as that. And then I'm going to pop that onto there, and that's going to cut out the actual background of it. So background in silver mirror and wording in the white. So just pop these in whilst I'm doing it. I'm not going to put the metal on that one. So as you can see, when that cuts out, hopefully you can see, it cuts out beautifully. But just that extra, by cutting into the metal, needing to bite into the metal, it seems to have a really good effect of cutting out every little bit. So now going to take this off. And as if you've already got this, you'll know that this is a very detailed, as I say, die, and so you'll need a little bit of you know what, don't you, patience, just to cut out all these push out all these little cut out bits. So yeah, Martha Stewart punches, gosh. And I saw an advert for someone who, I think it was a nan or a mum or someone, had passed away, and they were trying to sort of gather all their bits and pieces together. And they had a lot of these punches, which reminded me of them actually. And I thought, oh golly, they cost so much money, and I don't know how long she will have had them, but I wonder if they actually work now, because as I said, it could be that my hands just don't, you know, I haven't got the strength in my hands that I used to have with those punches. But as I say, the Stampin' Up ones work beautifully. So, and I think that they were memory keepers. Where did I get to? Over here. So, yeah. And another time I can remember going, and everyone was selling stamps that were what did they call them? Photocentric or something. Can you remember those? They were sort of like, if you looked at the stamp itself, they were almost smooth. And I never did get the hang of them. I think it was down to what ink you used with them, to be honest. They were very, very detailed, a little bit more like the print of sort of like a newspaper would have been, that type of thing. And more like collage stamps and that. But gosh, when you touch them, they were just almost flat to touch. Really, really different. And then another time I went, everything was the big dies, the really thick ones, you know. Yeah. And now there aren't very many craft fairs, are there? Well, not down this way anyway. So that's my banner. That is the background. If you do get this, you will get that as one, and you just need to twist it to undo it. Some of them I've already twisted just because I like to check them all before they go out. But some of them may be needing a bit of a twist. So I'm going to put my pokey tool in there, and then you can see the Merry Christmas. Rather beautiful, even though I say it myself. And that is going to go onto there. So let's do that. Pop that onto there. It's funny thinking back what you used to buy, isn't it? In the craft shows, all the craft shows that we used to go to. Sadly, not so many of them now. I do miss them. Although I suppose I like to go just to see what the latest was and meet up with my friends and have a day out. But there you go. Right, putting that on there, and I'm just grabbing my acrylic block just to give even pressure, just to push that down. We'll have squeezed out a little bit. You can just squeeze back in again, mister. So you can see now we've got our beautiful hit there. I, of course, have to put a bit of foam on it, don't I? So I'm going to get a piece of my foam tape, undo the back of it so that I can bend it around a bit better. But you don't have to do that, you know, it's just me. So that's just put in a bit of foam. So let's bring back our box. We've already got the card in it. Now, obviously, you could do any decoration on here, but I'm thinking that we're doing this as a very special present as such, with probably money or vouchers inside. So it's still lovely to open such a thing, and hopefully something that the recipient could keep for quite some time. So you could go to town, or you could simply just tie a ribbon, do the 4, you know, tie it up like a proper parcel and a ribbon. But I am going to do it so that we have got our dancing snowflake in the center there, which I think looks rather nice. And then I'm simply going to put my Merry Christmas banner across the middle so that it just looks as if it's all part and parcel of the same. If you've got any of the snow flurries, the corners, they look absolutely gorgeous in here as well. Or you could trim this down so that you've got a corner and cut it out a couple of times so that you make your corner up here. I'm pushing it up there so you can see what I mean. I would trim it here and then just make that into a corner. You could do that with the opposite corners, or you could put a lovely corsage of flowers, all sorts. So this is sort of like a medium decoration for it, I should say. You could, as I said, you can go to town, or you can just go fairly simple. And we're going fairly simple because we've got the card of all cards inside, have we not? And as I say, don't forget the lights, extra lights. There's a packet of 10 will be on the website on Friday morning. So you can have a look there. £10 for £10. So there is our beautiful dancing snowflakes there. And then I'm just going to grab my banner and pop a little bit of extra glue on there. Turn that round. And that's going to go into the centre. Just hold that down a second. And there you have it. So your box could not be, in my opinion, more simple. There's no point in making a flash box and measuring. Just go roughly. Measure your card. Always measure your card. Add about 1/4 of an inch. And if you're using a pre-made card, they almost always are 1/4 of an inch smaller than you think they're going to be. I hope that makes sense. If it's a 6x6 card, it will probably be 5 3/4. This one's a 7-inch card, but actually it's 6 3/4, etc., etc. Add a little 1/4 of an inch so that you have got the base and a little bit of wiggle room. And therefore that full measurement is 7 inches in this case. Add an inch for that side and an inch for that side. So that gives you 2 extra inches. So that first bit for the bottom was 9 inches by 9 inches. And then this one, 9 inches plus 1/8 of an inch. So 9 1/8 by 9 1/8. And then both of them simply scored at 1 inch, all 4 corners. A little bit of trimming. Don't forget to put in some of your little notches. As I said, when you put that on, it then is easy to pick up with that notch there, rather than if it's not. Put it around the right way so that you can see it. But yeah, so I do make a lot of boxes for my cards. Not that you usually see them, because you usually basically see the card. But I do think that if you're going to do that depth, it really is lovely. And then I would send it in a purpose-made, not purpose-made, a purpose-bought card thing if I was going to send it through the post. However, I think, in all honesty, these are the sort of things that you present. And as I said, you've got a card in there, you've got a beautiful keepsake card in there, and probably money, that type of thing would go in here, and that would be your present, rather than just saying, oh, here's a card and it's got a little voucher in it. So there you go. I hope you liked it. I'd like to see a lot more of the old thumbs up, which is just down here somewhere. Well, we're assuming that you like it anyway, because if you do, it would be really good. So lots of thumbs up. I'm busy getting out orders to everybody. It's only Lonesome Me at the moment. So I'm nearly there with everybody's orders. So thank you so much, just bearing with me. Just now waiting for the pre-orders of things. The kits should be here Friday, and they will be going out. The only one that I've got a little wait for is the Julie Hickey's Hazel's Christmas Sentiments, the dies, because they're not back in stock until the first week in November. But that is, as it says on the website. But just to remind you, if you have ordered those, they will be a little bit longer. But otherwise, we should have caught up. So that will be good. So thank you so much. Will I be getting the teddy bear and moon die back in stock? I have got some coming in this delivery. So yeah, if you want to look out for that, there is just a few going to be left over from there. Oh, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, that is good. Okay then, so thank you very much, folks. Have a great evening. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday the 20th of October at 6 o'clock, usual place, and it'll be great. Thank you. See you then. Bye.